What's going on, everybody? On this episode of the Best of Bias Podcast, it's episode 255, I believe. Episode 255 is season 4. This episode came a little quick after the last episode, but it's sports time. You already know what it is. NFL, college football. NFL is really starting, so we had to get into some NFL previews so I can let you guys know who I'm thinking is going to win, what the predictions are going to be, what the spreads are going to be, talk a little bit about fantasy, and then talk a little bit about week 0 for college football. So, welcome to another episode of the Best of Bias Podcast, season 4, baby. You already know what we're here to do. Let's talk some bias, baby. Let's get right into it. Where that theme song at? It's right here. It's your boy Lydell Dinero. Let's get it.
It's the best of bias. You need the earful, you should try us. From pop culture to the movies to unite us. It's the best of bias. The best of bias. Yeah, it's the best of bias.
Everybody, it's time. What's going on? It's time for another episode of the Best of Bias Podcast. Welcome. Thank you, everybody, for being here on this wonderful, hopefully you're listening to this on Thursday, but if you're not, hey, whenever you listen to this, thank you for being here either way. You could have been at any podcast in the world. You click play with us today. We're going to have some fun today. Not too much pop culture or cinema corner in this episode. It's strictly sports because you know what time it is, man. NFL, as we said in the beginning here, fantasy, college football are in full motion right now. It's week 1. We waited. We did it, guys. We did it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get that in there. We've been waiting all summer long for this football to start. We did our fantasy football drafts. We did all the studying. We did all the contemplating. We did all the waiting through the preseason. We saw the week 0 nonsense. Well, college football, there were some good games. Week 0 wasn't that bad, but we've been waiting for the big shebang bang. Pause. And it's finally here. This Thursday, we starting with opening day, Cowboys versus Eagles. But of course, before we get into all of the sports that are coming, I know you guys are really excited, really, really excited. But first, I want to check with your mental health. Is everybody doing good today? How you feeling? If it was a long week, if it was a long day, let's take time real quick. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Look to your left. Look to your right. Look to the sky. You bless. You bless today, and I'm happy you're here with us to enjoy another podcast. And it's your host, Lydell Dinero, Best of Bias Podcast. If you're new here, welcome. If you're the family and you've been waiting all summer for the football to come back, you're like, okay, pop culture is cool. This movie stuff is cool. The summer blockbusters and the new shows, all that stuff is cool, but where's the sports at? Yeah, we back. It's not the sports equinox yet, but we back. So, hope everybody's doing good. Hopefully everybody's Labor Day was fun, fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was able to, enjoy each other, enjoy some time off work, man. But we bouncing back into some party Labor Day number 2. Let's get into some stuff, man. I ain't gonna hold y'all long today. We just gotta get into some sports. Starting with college football, man. Oregon. We played Montana State, so I ain't gonna talk too much shit about what we did, but we did what we was supposed to do. For sure. I think the score was 56-9, if I'm not mistaken. They may have scored 13 points if I'm not mistaken, but we scored 56. Offense, defense, special teams, everybody did what they were supposed to do. Dante Moore's first game under the big lights in an Oregon uniform. Well, starting anyway, he played well, man. He was in there for a while, and his arm looked lively, man. No hesitation. There's rumors out there that he could have the purest arm of any quarterback that has ever come through Oregon. That's high praise, because Marcus Mariota, Herbert, Dylan Gabriel, Bo Nix, everybody came through there of recent. Dennis Dixon, I won't forget you either. You know what I'm saying? So there's some names out there that had some good arms. So to say that Dante Moore has the potential to be one of the best to come out, and how he looked this week, even though it's a lesser competition, I still think that he has something to prove after the whole stint he had at UCLA, him firstly committing to us and then decommitting to go to UCLA under Chip Kelly, that year being bad, coming and sitting a year behind Dylan Gabriel, learning a lot in that system, and now being able to take the reins, with a bunch of new weapons, Kenyon Sadiq looking really good out there. And now that T. Ferg is gone, Decorian Moore, with the absence of Evan Stewart's going to be asked to do a lot. We saw what he can do hurdling people, blocking downfield. He pancaked somebody in the end zone. While I believe Malik Benson, actually, wasn't Malik Benson that ran to the end zone? Or was it? Yeah, it was a running back. I think one of Jordan Davidson. Yeah, I'm talking about him in a little bit, but he scored 3 touchdowns as a freshman. One of the top most touchdowns at Oregon for a freshman in a long time. So Malik Benson transferred from Florida State, 5 for 5, 5 targets, 5 catches, 52 yards, and a touchdown. The touchdown strike Dante Moore threw them looked crazy. Austin Novosad backing up Dante Moore looked good too. There was supposed to be a quarterback battle there, and they said Austin Novosad wasn't that far behind. So if he was to go down or anything, knock on wood, God forbid, Novosad could actually jump in and possibly take over with no drop off. You know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of stuff to prove this year. Last year we went undefeated and it didn't turn out how we wanted in the playoffs. I mean, we beat Ohio State the first time, but somehow they got to play us again, and we did not show up the second time to play them. We want to make sure that shit doesn't happen again. With the transfers we had this year coming in, our safety, Thaumann, we saw Bryce Betcher there in the defense, our defensive line, Mateo Ukulele still there. Man, we got a Bear right there in the middle. You know what I'm saying? We have our corners, our young corners, our our safeties. We used to have a bunch of people out there that's ready to play. Again, Sadiq looked great. We didn't get to see a lot of Malachi Hughes. I think coach was kind of trying to not open up the playbook too much against Montana State because there's people watching, of course. I'm sure that 5 or 6 running backs got carries before Malachi Hughes, who's supposed to be our starter, transferring from Tulane this year. I don't know why they went with that kind of rotation. Maybe he wasn't 100% ready for week 1. And there's one of the younger guys to get a little burned before the season really gets underway and they don't really get touches and they can still use their red shirt if they need to. I don't know exactly what happened, but we look good. We look really good. On the other hand though, the big games, of course we played a week 0 game. We're not really that big of competition. Texas and Ohio State. Arch Manning. I know I have a lot of Cowboys friends, Cowboys fan friends. I have a lot of Texas fan friends because they kind of correlate, but all I've been hearing is how good Arch Manning is, how he's about to, the whole Micah Parsons trade. I didn't talk about that last time with you guys. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to the NFL talk. But, with the Micah Parsons trade and Dallas Cowboys getting 2 first-round picks in the next 2 years, that they're going to package those up and possibly get Arch Manning when he comes out and balls and wins the Heisman, wins the national championship and all that shit. It didn't look like that's in the cards for Arch this year, man. When Archie, his grandpop, said that he's probably going to stay a couple of years and work his way through the system. I mean, I think me personally, that's the most telling anyways, because he sat there behind Quinn Ewers. He didn't transfer. He stayed put so he can, learn as much as he can and be a stand-up guy to Texas, stand with his commitment, not be with like the other NIL guys leave for money because he's a Peyton. So, any kind of transfer, any NIL money he would have got would have been out of this world. But he decided to stay at Texas, knowing that he'd eventually get his reins. And his first start, unfortunately, had to be against Ohio State, the national, reigning national champions. They have a new quarterback over there, but the defense was really good, led by Caleb Downs over there in Ohio State. They gave Arch Manning a bunch of fits, made him look relatively pedestrian, and a lot of people are having second thoughts on if he is the next coming of whoever the best quarterback, Andrew Luck or I guess Peyton Manning or whoever they think he is coming out. People got to tamper expectations just a little bit because again, he is a freshman and people are saying the high school that he went to, that he's putting all these highlights up against we're in a league that wasn't really that impressive to begin with. So him getting to the level he's at now, and not really having much experience as a starting quarterback, let alone against the competition that he's playing, it's going to take a little bit for him to get it all together and show what he really has, I think. So I wouldn't judge him too much, but personally, I'm a kind of guy that's not about just heaping a bunch of accolades and a whole bunch of expectations on a player without watching them necessarily play, in the NFL, NBA, in college. I mean, everything he did in the league lower is all hype, but until you necessarily see him play, I wouldn't just give him the Heisman give him national number one overall pick. You can't really say that because there's guys up here that have been proven that are more ready to go and put in the work and been through the down years that Arch Manning possibly still has to go through before he is able to, take the reins. I think the score was 17-14 in that game, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I didn't write down the scores all this game, even though I should. Alabama blown out by Florida State. I don't know what happened there. Kalen DeBoer took over for Saban. After that, it's just been downhill ever since. He ruined Jalen Milroe. I don't know what's going on with this team this year. They have the most recruits, number one recruiting class for the year. They should have no problem having talent out there. I mean, I think it must be a leadership thing. Florida State talked shit before the game, backed it up, and made Alabama look stupid. Everybody's calling them soft now. From all the talking heads, Paul Feinbaum, Stephen A., everybody on ESPN, everybody in the general public now just don't believe that Alabama still has the bite to back up that bark that they once had with Nick Saban. You know what I mean? And speaking of that, also Bill Belichick, everybody thought this summer with the arrival of him at North Carolina and NIL and the attractiveness of him being a 6-time winning Super Bowl coach, that would just automatically transfer over into the college football realms. No, that's not how it works anymore. NIL kind of, runs college football now. You still are at North Carolina. This is still your first year, though you got a big jump probably in boosters and recruits. As you were announced as head coach, that wasn't enough. They got blown out by TCU. TCU got stomped out by Colorado last year. Actually, I don't know. I think that was a good game for their first game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it was a back and forth game. But for them to get blasted like that with all the hype, with the whole publicity stunt, not really a publicity stunt, but the whole bringing the 25-year-old girlfriend into the picture, this whole rollout for this kind of game, it's kind of depressing. Again, it's just his first game. I'm sure shit will change next year. I'm sure the money will come in. The school is rolling out the red carpet for him like they kind of did with Deion, but I don't think, Belichick has the same kind of pull as Deion as far as it goes to getting help recruiting. Cause, Belichick was famously a bad recruiter drafter for the Patriots. So him coming to North Carolina with the NIL, how it is now with money talks, I don't think he's ready for all that. So I think it might be a short-lived stint for Belichick here in North Carolina, though they paid him a lot of money. I could see 2 years max, especially if he doesn't turn around immediately next year. I don't think his reputation can kind of handle that. But that was kind of week 0 of college football. I know to get more and more competitive and shit will jump around, and the playoff got extended to 12 teams. So good teams can lose about 1 or 2 games depending on who they're losing to. So it's not too much of a problem for the teams that lost this first week, for the Texas of the world, the Alabamas of the world. They still have chances to redeem themselves and beat higher ranked teams as they get further into their schedule, especially league schedule. In Oregon, man, we play Oklahoma State next week. One of our better teams that we have to play. Our season schedule is pretty easy, but again, we have to prove it. We have to show everybody last year wasn't a fluke. If we can go undefeated again this year, we have to prove what we stand for and prove something in the playoffs. I'm hoping we personally don't get that bye, just so we can play and stay hot throughout the playoffs, because sitting on that bye last time, I feel like hurt us in the long run. And I feel like we have it this year, man. The talent we have and the recruiting classes we keep pulling in is going to stack talent on top of each other for us to be able to be what we want to be this year. And I think we can go far. So tune in for the week 1 officially of NCAA college football if you guys are into it. That's going to be fucking Thursday through Saturday pretty much. But the big boys is starting Thursday as well. So I don't know how much attention those Thursday and Friday games are going to get, because there's some games on Thursday, Friday, Sunday. There's games every day. If you guys didn't know, Thursday through Monday is football. We have football every day. We have fucking Eagles and Cowboys, what I'm going to talk about in a second here. On Thursday, Friday, we have the Chargers and Chiefs from Brazil. Saturday, we have the full slate of all those college games we're just talking about, plus more. And then on Sunday, we have the other slates of NFL, plus the Monday night game with the Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Crazy. Crazy. So I'm excited to see what that pulls in, but let's get into this NFL talk, man. If you guys didn't know, last year I was really big on trying to help you guys win some money. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I did that. My beard was itching. I wasn't trying to smile or give y'all But yeah, bro. Last year, I like to give you guys my projections on who I think is going to win these games. Let you know a little bit about the spreads and stuff like that. So if you guys are bettors, a guy that watches games closely, that's really in on fantasy, knows a lot of players. I like to put bets in as well on Prize Picks. Prize Picks holla at me. MGM Grand when I'm out there with y'all. I have the app. I'll be fucking with y'all. Thank you guys for cashing me out last Super Bowl or last playoffs for the NFL. So when it gets around this year, I like to give my advice. Of course, I'm not letting you guys, telling you guys these are 100% surefire information to go bet on. I'm just letting you know how I feel about the games. There's going to be a lot of bias in here because, I'm never going to go for another NFC South team. But, all these other games, I'll let you know who's going to win, why. I'll let you know what the spreads are if you want to put some money on it and help you guys put together a little parlay if y'all trying to do that. I'm not doing money lines, but it's just the spreads. You feel me? But let's start with it. Dallas Cowboys are playing Philadelphia in Philadelphia on banner raising night. Even though Nick Sirianni didn't know nothing about it, everybody else does. They know the team that won the championship plays the first Thursday night games and the banner falls. But him and Jalen Hurts are trying to be super nonchalant about winning the most recent Super Bowl. And I get it. Everybody doubted you. Everybody thought you wasn't ready for it. And you did it. You beat the mighty Chiefs. You spoiled a three-peat. So you super nonchalant, ultimate boss. I get that shit. But Thursday night is going to be kind of weird. Especially with Micah Parsons being traded a couple of weeks or a week before the game. One of the best players on the Cowboys, Jerry Jones, sillily, chose his pride over one of the best players on the team and himself over the team pretty much basically. I don't care what anybody says. Any of these Cowboys fans are trying to say to Cope, that was a bad trade. 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark for Micah Parsons. Not even 2 years ago, y'all was calling him the next coming of LT. Now all of a sudden he don't matter. He can't stop the run, so you rather trade him for some bullshit-ass picks. That's crazy talk. And I don't know what they was thinking because they're not going to get another player as good as Micah Parsons, I can tell you, for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. No matter how many draft picks you get. Even if you get a quarterback, I guarantee you he was not going to be as valuable to you as Micah Parsons was, especially after you paid a quarterback. What value are those picks? If you already paid a quarterback, you already have a quarterback, you already have a receiver, you solidifying your offensive line. You can draft more players. You have your draft picks. So why not pay Micah Parsons? You said you're going to pay Micah Parsons. You could have paid him earlier when it would have been cheaper, but you decided to beat Jerry Jones and just stick your chest out and kind of just act like you're bigger than the system. I mean, I guess you technically are, but in football, I kind of feel like you kind of have to do what's best for the team, even when it hurts your pride sometimes. And Micah Parsons, I feel like ultimately, yeah, it was silly for them not to re-sign him, but ultimately, I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning the game. They jumped to an 8.5 point favorite after Micah Parsons got traded. I agree with that. I picked the Philadelphia Eagles to win on banner night and kind of blow them out. I mean, Cowboys are going to have to score a bunch of points, and the Eagles have a really good defense. So I think the Eagles are just going to score on offense and be able to hold the Cowboys to a certain amount of points and just kind of make them look silly at a certain point. So I guess that's why the spread's 8.5. Chiefs at Los Angeles Chargers. Well, I guess it's not at Los Angeles Chargers since it's in Brazil. But I got the Chargers winning that game. I got the upset happening. Everybody's on the Chiefs because they lost last year's Super Bowl. It's a revenge tour, their engagement, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Nah, man, the new hardball, Marion Hampton, Keenan Allen coming back. The second year in that system for Justin Herbert. I got faith in Justin. I'm picking the Chargers to win an upset, even though the Chiefs are favored by 3. Vegas is playing New England. I think they're in New England for that game. Yeah, they're in New England for the game. The Raiders, New England's favored by 2.5 points. I think I'm picking the Raiders in this game, man. I'm thinking with Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, the new weapons of Brock Bowers, and Ashton Genty, Jacoby Myers getting solidified in the offense, new upper office with Tom Brady. I think they'll be, competitive. I think they'll be competent, and I think they'll be able to get some wins and surprise a lot of people, and especially because the Patriots aren't really supposed to be the best team in the world. They're still an upstart right now as well, even though they're 6-time champions. But they're rebuilding, and Drake May is just now in his second year, so I think they can get him in this point. They're not, stalwarts anyway, in any way, shape, or form to where the Raiders couldn't possibly beat them. So I think they will win. Pittsburgh versus the Jets. Pittsburgh is at home. Favored by 2.5 points. It's gonna be a revenge game for Aaron Rodgers. I got faith in Pittsburgh. Their defense is gonna be really good. The Jets are starting Justin Fields. I think they'll be able to shut that down, especially since they had him last year. Um, and I think Aaron Rodgers gonna want to show the Jets that they gave up on something, or they could have had it right last year if they listened to him on some ego shit. That I think he's gonna come out and ball and play Caleb Johnson, please. So I got Pittsburgh in that game. Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I got Tampa winning, of course. You already know. I think their Atlanta's rushing defense isn't really that good, though they may have AJ Terrell to be able to possibly help stop Mike Evans. I don't think he will. I think Baker will still force feed him no matter what. That's just going to open up the field for Tez Johnson, Emeka Ibuka, Bucky Irvin in the flat, Cade Otton. I think we'll be able to run the ball with Bucky Irvin and Rashad White. I think our offensive line will push their rush defense around. It's going to come down to if our defense can stop their passing attack and their rushing attack. If we can get a couple of stops, a couple of turnovers, and keep scoring like the offense we know we are, and Baker just takes care of the ball and doesn't turn it over, I think we'll win the game easily and go start 1-0 in our division on the road to going 5 straight divisional championships. So that's what I think is going to happen in that game. The Buccaneers, I think they'll cover that 2.5 spread as well. Miami at Indianapolis. I got Miami in this game. I think everybody's sleeping on Tua and Tyreek. Everybody thinks just because they had one bad year that they know everything about the player. I think they don't trust the player and they hate in the player and the game. I think Tyreek Hill's going to come back and ball, though I only have him on one of my fantasy teams. I think he's going to have a year like he had. Everybody's calling him why. I just don't get it. I don't get how people can just come out of their mouths and call somebody washed after one down year and just think they can lose it. I've seen people lose it kind of instantly that I never thought I'd see lose it, but I don't think it's time for Tyreek Hill to just, no, there's no way. The way he plays, his speed is still there. He can catch the ball still. He can catch the ball, a 5-yard pass and take it to the house. So unless his legs fall off, I don't know if Tyreek Hill could necessarily lose it anytime soon. That's just me personally. So I got Miami to win. It's only a 1-point favor. I think Miami's favored by 1. So I got Miami in that one. Arizona's favored by 6.5 at New Orleans. I got the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray is due for a bounce back year. Last year was terrible. Marvin Harrison had a terrible rookie year. Trey McBride only scored 1 touchdown out in the whole season. I think that'll change. Their offense will still come alive. James Conner is still there. I think he'll be able to carry the offense and help them score a bunch of touchdowns. And hopefully their defense comes together. If their defense comes together, I think they'll be able to be good. They got the corner, I believe, Johnson from Michigan that everybody slept on. So I think their defense will, pretty much try to hold its own in that division. And be able to sneak a couple of games out against maybe Seattle, maybe the 49ers, and just show and prove and maybe be able to compete for a wild card. So I got them winning. They're favored by 6.5 points against the Saints, and I hope they whoop their ass. The Giants and Commanders, they're in Washington, and the Washington Commanders are favored by 6. I got them winning in New York. I know it's not going to be as easy as it seemed it was last year for Jaden Daniels because that defensive line for the Giants and that defense is kind of looking good. And we'll see what happens with Russ and Malik Neighbors. See who starts in the running back field. We'll see Thomas back there for the line, left tackle holding it down, actually healthy this year. So we're still waiting to see what the offense will be like for the Giants. But I think the Washington Commanders, with the addition of Deebo Samuel, I think they'll be able to get a little bit more going on offense and score more points than the Russ-led Giants. But, I think it'll take a couple weeks, but I think the Giants do have a chance to have a good team and maybe upseed the Washington Commanders, maybe the Cowboys too, because they're gonna be terrible. So they have a chance. I'm not saying it's gonna happen or even likely to happen, but I think the Giants are playing with a little something over there, and they may be able to get it going. But I got them beating I got the Commanders winning. Let me get ahead of myself. I got the Washington Commanders winning. They're favored by 6 at home. Panthers versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville's favored by 3.5 points. It is the battle of the former Buccaneers offensive coordinators, Dan Canales and Liam Cohen, facing off. I think the Jaguars will be a little bit better this year with Liam Cohen. He is a good offensive coordinator. I think he'll make BTJ and Hunter and ETN and Trevor Lawrence's life's a lot easier this year. getting them in space, getting them the ball, scheming up stuff to help. Hopefully their defense can get their shit together and stop a bloody nose or be able to stop anything. You know what I'm saying? If they are, I know Liam Cohen can scheme up something to get some points on the board for him and kind of revitalize Trevor Lawrence's career. So I'm going heavy on Jacksonville this year, especially against the Panthers, but they're favored by 3.5 at home, and I'm taking them. Cincinnati's playing the Cleveland Browns. They're favored by 5.5 points. Cleveland is usually starting really slow on offense the last couple of years. They haven't won very many games in the beginning, and they kind of ramped up towards the end of the season, which is it isn't a good method because if you win games in the beginning, you can kind of lose those games in the end. It won't affect your standing at the end after going to that Super Bowl. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals have been struggling to get back to that peak. So this year, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins both signed. They signed Hendrickson, excuse me. So hopefully the defense can be worth the damn, and the addition and the full-time starting role of Chase Brown, everybody's talking about in fantasy this year, can turn into something good, and they can win games from the beginning and not have to fight back to try to make the playoffs towards the end of the season. So I got Cincinnati, of course, over the Browns in Cleveland. Denver Broncos are favored by 8 at home against Tennessee. Bo Nix and company are really looked at as a team to beat this year. Are going to be a team that's going to be really improved in. I think it's Sean Payton's second year, Bo Nix second year. Courtland Sutton got paid. They got a couple of running backs. They secured that offensive line, and that defense is something to be reckoned with. So this year, the Broncos are supposed to be really good. Cam Ward and the Titans, I haven't really heard much about them exceeding expectations. So I think they're still going to be a little mediocre, kind of figuring it out throughout the season. They could surprise. Them, but I think the Broncos are going to, especially week 1 against the Titans, are going to hold it up and actually win the game, maybe by more than 8 points. 49ers versus Seattle. In Seattle, I think the 49ers will win this game. Seattle with Sam Darnold, I don't know if they're necessarily ready to take that next step and to be a definite threat in that division. Saleh back in San Francisco, familiar team, familiar foes in Seattle. I think they'll have the 49ers defense right, regardless of what the offense is able to do. Christian McCaffrey coming back, they'll be able to hand him the ball a lot. Not really many offensive weapons of note, receiving weapons of note anyways, besides Kittle and Parasol, that are healthy for the 49ers. But I feel like in that scheme, Kyle Shanahan will figure out a way, that defense will be able to shut down newly acquired Sam Darnold, in that running game of Seattle and have them try to figure it out against those, receivers. I think Deommodore Lenoir will do a good job against JSN. And Cooper Kupp will probably be the main target. I heard he's getting a lot of focus with Sam Darnold. But we'll see if Cooper Kupp can be the Cooper Kupp of old. But I think if that's the only threat, the 49ers will have to worry about, I think they'll be able to keep a low scoring game and actually come out on top. So I got the 49ers in that game. Detroit Lions versus the Packers in Green Bay. Green Bay favored by 2.5 points. Everybody's on this Green Bay Packers hype ever since they got Micah Parsons. I'm not really a believer of Jordan Love like that yet. And they have a bunch of receivers. Just got Matthew Golden this year, supposed to be their guy. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm necessarily ready to just sit back and say, oh yeah, they're going to be hella good now that they got Micah Parsons. If I'm not mistaken, Jordan Love just broke his finger. So I don't know if he's 100% healthy to just give him the reins. I think just because they got Micah Parsons and that defense is pretty good, that they'll be able to just do whatever. Now they got Rasul Douglas. They lost Zaire Alexander, though he was hurt, not really contributing that much as of late. I just feel like that team still has a couple of years before they can just go ahead and just be considered favorites to go to the Super Bowl and win it. Los Angeles Rams at home against the Texans. I got Los Angeles winning that. I think Houston's still trying to figure itself out with Mixon being out still. Collins, if he stays healthy, they could be a threat, but their second receiver, tight ends and stuff still have to be figured out. The defense is really good for Houston, but I think the Rams will figure it out with Sean McVay. That offensive squad, Devontae Adams, Puka, Kyron getting signed to a big contract. I think the Rams will win that game. Baltimore versus Buffalo. This is probably the closest, most evenly matched game of the week. They're in Buffalo. Baltimore's favored by 1.5. I think the offensive power of Lamar and Henry in a slug it out defensive game is going to favor the Ravens. I think the Ravens will come out on top. The Bills will lose probably the first game and the Ravens will win, but these two teams all season are going to be the teams that are going to be trying to dethrone Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to represent the AFC in the championship. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on these two teams, and I think they'll be highly watched this year and highly talked about this year. So this first game is going to be first of many battles they'll have to see against each other, and comparisons these two teams will have against each other this season. But I think Baltimore will win this game facing the Buffalo Bills at home. And then Minnesota versus the Bears in Chicago on Monday night. I think Chicago has this one. I think Ben Johnson will come out and show that he's able to do some things on the offense that kind of confuses the Vikings a little bit. And Caleb Williams will have his time to shine on primetime TV. I think it's going to take a little bit longer for J.J. McCarthy to get everything together for the Minnesota Vikings. Though they still have Jefferson, and he can make plays and just open the game at any time. I think the backfield is still something to be reckoned with. And is Aaron Jones going to stay healthy? There's no Addison because of the suspension, so you have Naylor over there. They signed Thielen back, so I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make for the team to have Thielen on the squad, but we'll see how that goes. But I just think it's more important for the Bears to get out to a great start, and I think they're going to have a lot more pressure on their back to win at home, and I think Caleb is going to show and Ben Johnson and all the pieces they have with Dunze, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, they're all going to be able to, show that they have potential this year. And the first year was bad due to them not having any kind of linemen, but them getting a whole bunch of linemen in the offseason and drafting linemen as well will help them give Caleb more time in the pocket and hopefully make better decisions and be that prospect we all thought he was going to be coming out of USC. Yeah. So to go over those again, I got Philly winning in Philly against the Cowboys on Thursday night. Then on Friday night, I have the Chargers upsetting the Chiefs, game 1. I have the Vegas winning in New England. I have Pittsburgh winning in New York against the Jets. I have Tampa Bay winning in Atlanta against the Falcons. Miami winning again in Indianapolis against the Colts. Arizona winning in New Orleans and covering that spread. I have the Giants losing to the Washington Commanders in Washington. I have Jacksonville winning at home against the Panthers. I have Cincinnati winning in Cleveland against the Browns. I have Denver winning at home against Tennessee Titans. Then I have the 49ers winning in Seattle against the Seahawks. I got Detroit winning in Green Bay. And I have the Rams beating the Texans, Baltimore beating the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. And then on Monday night, I have the Bears beating the Minnesota Vikings. And that's what I got. And that's my NFL take of the week. Yeah. Take those notes. Let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm not trying to give you guys 100% advice to go gamble with. But hey, if you think you can use that advice to make your parlay a little bit better, hey, it's all good, bruh. I got you. Weekly, I do this. As the games come in, I review the scores from the week before just so I can keep myself honest. I usually kind of forget what I pick, and I just try to hold it to you guys to keep me honest. But I will keep a record this year, I promise y'all, of how many I get right and how many I get wrong. And then I'll give myself a score on the week. And if I win the week, I'll keep a tally or something like that to keep myself honest. I promise y'all though. But with that, we're going to a commercial break. We got a little bit more to talk about, just fantasy coming up this week, my picks of the week, and who the matchups are for the Best of Bias Invitational. And then I get y'all up out of here. Again, it's not just kind of all sports this week, but it's the Best of Bias podcast. I'll be right back with y'all. And yeah, go grab something to drink. We'll be back with more. And we back. Thank y'all for holding, and let's get back into that bias. You feel me? All right, so fantasy football has arrived, as well as NFL football. You know how that kind of falls right into each other. So we got week one of fantasy football, especially for the Best of Bias Invitational 2025. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the matchups we got here and a little bit of what's going on. But let me get into my dual cameras bag. I haven't been in my dual cameras bag in a little bit. Let me talk to the people over here 1 second. Best of Bias Invitational right now. We can give a weekly update, man. I ain't gonna be playing with it this year. We talking fantasy football. I'm gonna give weekly updates. I'm gonna give my picks of the week so you guys don't miss it. Be here every week for weekly updates and some really close insight on the Best of Bias Invitational 2025. If you want to be in the league next year, if you're interested in following the league, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll start a Discord for it. You never know. But it's gonna be plenty of fun, plenty of trash talk, and plenty of information being spread around. So if you're into fantasy and and you're looking for some advice, you know where to be. It's the Best of Bias Podcast. Yeah. Anyways, we back with it. Thank you guys for always supporting our fantasy football talk. If you guys don't like the fantasy football talk, please let me know, because again, we're going to be talking about it every week. I want to be able to keep you guys really close and informed on what's going on in the Best of Bias Invitational. And again, I want to be more involved in the space. I was watching a lot of YouTube and a lot of information kind of building up to my drafts, and I really appreciate all the information I got and the insight of who other people were drafting, tons of mock drafts. I'm going to try to do a lot of reaction videos for you guys too, and a lot of different things like that, so I can give you guys different content. Always looking for ways to mix it up. But let me get into the matchups for this week of the Best of Bias Invitational. Of course, you got me. My name this year is McAfrican American versus Kenny the Primetime Pope. And then we got Yancey Jordan Love Island versus Kevin with the Cams Catering. Then we have Deshaun Shenanigans versus John the Hot Boys. K-Swag, Kyle versus Josh Darnett. Josh, what up with Josh? I think that's Jason. Then we have Damon with Jet 2 Holiday, because you can't beat him. And then you have CD's Nuts, that's Sean G. And then we have Sean M with the championship team versus Derek, who is Armpit, our reigning champion of last year. Week 1 should be very, very interesting, because I know leading up to week 1, we're just looking at our projections and just hoping shit changes, and we see what kind of clear advantage we get. But, nothing beats the pre-jitters of pre-fantasy football. We have our first games on Thursday. Again, it's the Eagles and Cowboys. I don't know how many Cowboys you necessarily drafted, but if you drafted Dak, CD, George Pickens, maybe even Ferguson, you're looking at tomorrow's game really, really closely. On the Eagles side, though, Saquon, Jalen Hurts, Devontae, Goddard, A.J. Brown, all the pieces they got over there in Philadelphia, you guys are probably going to eat. There's nothing to say otherwise, but we'll see how well Dak Prescott does. If I was you, I know Dak Prescott is really going to eat this season, as far as the Cowboys probably being behind and having to throw to catch up. This week, if you could find somebody else with a better matchup, I'd probably do it. I know you want to get the season started and you have the first game and set those points early and just know if you're going to win or not have to wait till Sunday. But I don't know, man. I don't know. This Eagles defense put, Patrick Mahomes under lock and key, so I can only imagine what they can possibly do to Dak Prescott. He's not going to run around at all, and I feel like there's potential for them to hold Dak Prescott to maybe say like 15, 14 points, when you kind of expect kind of 20 to 30 points due to them having to try to catch up and be passing a lot. I think if you have CD, you'll be straight, just because he's going to be peppered so much. But again, I don't know how much George Pickens is going to get the ball, or how much he's going to, because those corners over there are going to have him on lock and key. I know George Pickens is a 50-50 ball guy, but I think Dak Prescott's going to be under a lot of pressure with that Eagles offensive line and linebacking core. So we'll see how fast he's able to get the ball to George Pickens, and hopefully not just running a whole bunch of screens to CeeDee Lamb to get the ball out of Dak's hands fast. And it's going to be a long day for the Cowboys if they try to play it that way. But for my team personally, I'm excited to see what Bo Nix does. Again, they're playing the Tennessee Titans, so him and Cortland Sutton. I think Cortland Sutton's going to be the underdog super sleeper of the season. I tried to get the most Cortland Sutton I can get. If I was to say one sleeper receiver, that would be my guy, Cortland Sutton. I know over the seasons when the Broncos didn't really have a quarterback, Cortland Sutton let you down. That'd be that pick that you thought, oh, he was the number 1 receiver on the Broncos. He'll definitely get you Mike Evans type of quality and output, just because they're both those 6'5", big guys, 50-50 ball, any type of situation, red zone threats. But Cortland Sutton with Russell Wilson didn't get it done. We saw glimpses of it, but with Bo Nix and with Cortland Sutton being paid, I think last year we saw glimpses of it, and this year we're going to be able to see even more of the blossoming relationship between the two. Troy Franklin, also in his second year. The Oregon product being with Bo Nix again and being able to, play pitch and catch with another year in the Sean Payton system. I think they're going to be good. So I think Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton are going to have a great year. This year I'm paying a lot of attention to Omarion Hampton, rookie running back for the Chargers. If you're doing your drafts, you're looking for a rookie running back to get kind of early. That we were putting a lot of hype in this year. Though Najee Harris was supposed to be a full go for week 1, he hasn't really been practicing, so I don't know how ramped up they'll actually have him ready to go for week 1. I think it's kind of a scare tactic. If you look at a lot of the rookie running backs on these depth charts that have come out, they put him like 3rd on the depth charts. Travion Henderson, Caleb Williams, Bill, Jakrowski, Merritt, whatever the hell his name is over there on the Commanders. Like all these running backs that got all the hype in the preseason, they're throwing them late down there on the depth charts, having them be in 3rd string or whatever. I don't know if this is a ploy to throw off the fantasy football people, the bettors. I don't know what it is, but we know the talent that these young running backs have. I know the talent that Omarion Hampton had in North Carolina. He's a 6'1" back that runs a 4.4 that can catch the ball in the backfield. Najee Harris isn't a burner, and his hands aren't really that of note, though I like Najee Harris a lot this year. I'm hoping he doesn't really I can't say I hope he doesn't do much, but I hope he doesn't take too much away from Omarion Hampton. I wouldn't be mad about it being a close 1A and 1B, but I want Omarion Hampton to take over a boatload of the carries, and Najee Harris, maybe some goal line stuff, but I feel like he wouldn't necessarily need it because Omarion Hampton's a big guy himself. So we'll see what happens there, but Omarion Hampton, I've been looking a lot into, my homer picks, of course, if you're looking at the Buccaneers, looking for some of them to take in fantasy. Emeka Egbuka, we talked about the situation with Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is the clear number 1, but everybody's going to be trying to take him away because they know what kind of threat he is. So Emeka Egbuka is going to have a lot of room to work in the spaces. He's pretty much a Chris Godwin clone. Already knows the playbook, already know what's kind of going on. So if you take him in the 5th, 6th round, he's definitely going to pay off for you, especially in week 1. I think Baker will find him early and often. Cade Otton, always kind of underrated as a tight end to take in fantasy. He's always going to be there for Baker. He has short hands. He's there in the red zone, short hands in the red zone. A super sleeper on the Buccaneers, I say Tez Johnson. I could be biased because I'm an Oregon guy, but just knowing what he's able to do in college, and if he didn't get hurt last year in college and ran a faster 40, I think he would have been taken early, at least in 3rd or 4th round. He got taken in the 7th. Now with the opportunity for him to play a lot with Jalen McMillan being out and Chris Godwin being out at the beginning of the season, he's going to be able to be kick returner and show what he's got, possibly behind Sterling Shepard, maybe in front of Sterling Shepard. In space, he's dynamic, and I think with a good offense and a good offensive scheme, he can show you what he can do. So he could be special. I stashed him on my teams for sure. If you got Bucky, you got him early in the 2nd round. You already know about him. But I think Tez Johnson is another guy that's on that Bucky level. You heard me say it, him getting drafted in the 4th round is going to be a sleeper. He's going to take over. The way he runs with the ball, the way he gets to the end zone is dynamic. Him and Tez are best friends. If you watch Oregon football at all, you know exactly what they did when they played together. If one touched the ball, he'll probably score. If the other touched the ball, he'll probably score. Yeah, so trust and believe that the Buccaneers have some players that you should take a close look at if you're looking for some bench stashes. Rachaad White, of course, he is Bucky's backup. He did have a groin injury early in the preseason, but even though he has a lesser role to Bucky Irving, he's really good in the passing game. They may put him out in the slot a lot more, again, with the Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan injuries. And he produces a lot. He was top 24, I believe, in running backs last year with the production he was able to get as running back 2 after getting a diminished role because of Bucky Irving. So I like him a lot. Tight end wise, people are like, I don't know where to go. If I'm not going tight end early with McBride, Kittle, or Brock Bowers, who do I get? Tyler Warren, man. I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about Tyler Warren. Also Evan Ingram, he is in that Broncos offense. He was a good tight end for New York, the Jaguars, and I think he can only be more of a value over there with the Broncos, with that offense system that Peyton's trying to run. So that's a value there. As well as who else did I like to take? Evan Ingram and Tyler Warren. I just think Tyler Warren's going to be the number 1 target for either Anthony Richardson or what's this guy's name? The guy from why is his name blanking? Daniels. Daniel Jones. He's going to be the number one target for him. He's a big tight end who can make plays in space. They said they might use him for tush pushes because he's so big. You saw what he was doing at Penn State. I think he'll be able to do that in the NFL walking in, especially in that AFC South division. I think I'll have a lot of production. We'll see a lot of him. So you can kind of snag him in the 8th, 9th round when the hype was low. But I was in the draft the other day and somebody took him as early as the 3rd round on some weird shit. But don't do that. But you just look for him because tight end's kind of a dead zone after, after Kittle's taken. Laporta, Hawkinson, Mark Andrews, Njoku, all those guys are spread out amongst the middle rounds. It's kind of like a preference type of thing. And tight ends are usually streamers too, because you have Tucker Kraft, you have Freiermuth for the Pittsburgh Steelers who will have games from here to there, Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry. So you can stream those kind of guys, but if you're looking for a tight end and thinking about what you want to do for the draft, just kind of keep in mind, if you're not going early, you can wait around and get some value in those receivers and running back tiers, because if you'll notice the running back drops off hella when you draft after the 3rd, 4th round. In receiver, man, once the good receivers dry up at about the 6th, 7th round, you're kind of grasping at straws for rookies and guys that you're hoping still have it. So be careful there. Let's see, who is my player of the week, man? Well, me personally, my player of the week and the player I'm most excited about is Malik Neighbors. I've been waiting to get a dynamic number one receiver for a long time in fantasy. Last year, I can't lie, I did get CeeDee Lamb, but it was a down year for a down year for the Cowboys. He got hurt. Dak Prescott got hurt, and it didn't really kind of prove to be as meaningful as I wanted it to. But I think, if meaningful is a word, I played Scrabble for the first time the other day in a long time, and I got taught a lot about words. I'll be saying shit. I don't even know if it's really words, but hey, y'all fuck with me though. So y'all let me slide. But in that Scrabble game, the people I was playing with, they wasn't letting me slide. They was like, nah, that ain't a word. Challenge. Oh, you can't look it up. Nah, you can't look it up. If we challenge it and it's not a majority challenge, you can't look it up. I was like, brother, I have never played Scrabble this way before. But I do what I do. But anyways, what was I talking about before I got distracted? Oh, Malik Neighbors. Yes. Last year he had 170 targets, whole bunch of catches. This year, Russell Wilson's on the team and they supposedly had really good connection, there. I think he'll have good connection if Jackson Dart ever does start as well. I think he's just a foolproof player. If he can stay healthy and the team can have any other competent, offensive weapons to take a little bit of pressure off of him, I think he's a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type of receiver. He did go to LSU as well, but you know what I'm saying? I just think he's one of those type of guys. And I think this year, with the full season of a competent quarterback, I think he'll be able to show what he really can do. And next year, he'll be the receiver that's in the top 3, maybe even top 4, the players taken in PPR drafts. So that would be my play and my player of the year, who I'm banking a lot on. I know there's drafts where I didn't really get Malik Neighbors. I got Jahmyr Gibbs in one. And then in another one, I think I still got Malik Neighbors as well. So I'm riding a lot with Malik Neighbors and the Giants. So I'll be paying a lot of close attention to him. But that's my ride or die player this year, man. Besides Bucky Irving on my 2nd round pick, but Malik Neighbors, man. I'm putting a lot in the Malik Neighbors hat this year. A player that I'm hoping big things for. That can be my player one. That can just take me to heights that I've never seen before and win me this money this year, man. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys really want to be tuned into the Best of Bias podcast, or Best of Bias Invitational, excuse me. Of course, you're going to be into the podcast, but the Invitational, it's going to be weekly. I review on scores and who's up and what the standings are. I'll let you know about my team to give you a little insight. And I'll give some more tips, man, because again, I listen to a lot of pods. I've taken a lot of information about fantasy. And not only am I giving you advice about who I think are going to win in the real games, I got a lot of fantasy advice and a lot of, what I would do type of situations. I've won a lot of fantasy leagues. Ask about me, check my records. But type in the bottom, hit me up personally. I can help you guys out.
It's the best of bias. You need the earful, you should try us. From pop culture to the movies to Unitas. It's the best of bias. The best of bias.